Why do you think then, just in general, even before this, that there's always such a ridiculous amount of talent coming out of Denmark?
I think there's a lot of reason, and one is we just have a lot of money.
Hello and welcome to another NLC interview. This time I'm joined by Dusty's bot laner DenVoksne. Just going to jump straight into it. You spent last split in Spain. You're now back in the NLC. Which one is stronger and why is it the NLC?
Why is it an NLC? Like, I think first you look at like some of the strengths and weaknesses of both regions. I feel like one thing NLC has always had it, good with is you really don't need imports. Like a lot of the times, like I feel like we just have so many players, so many strong players, like on every team, in every region. There's just always Nordic like residency people. So building a team in the NLC, like even though maybe we don't have the money to like import a lot of players, like most often you don't really need to. And I feel like a lot of the other regions, like not necessarily Spain, but a lot of the like Spanish players, there are a lot of Spanish players, but there aren't really enough to fill the whole league with like extremely strong players, which I think in general makes a lot of the teams stronger. Then there's obviously things like LVP is just a lot bigger, so they have a lot more money. They can spend a lot more money on better players in general and stuff. But I feel like you always have good teams just because like there's so many players. Like even if you take out into account all the players that are playing for other URLs, like there's still so many left to play NLC and show a decent level, I would say.
Yeah, because you do. I was kind of thinking that as well. Like you do see a lot of NLC region players even going like to Italy and other regions, but you don't see quite as much Spanish team or Spanish players coming over the other way, really.
Yeah, exactly. We're everywhere, and most often the other like regional players stay in their regions because it's better. It's not like we have more money or more viewers or anything, but also just because they have higher demand, like usually, which like now might piss some people off, but in general, like there's higher demand for a really good Spanish or French player than there would be for a really good NLC player, because usually there's more to pick from. There are more people to pick from.
Yeah, bigger pool.
Yeah.
But then just kind of actually going back to even like the start of your career then, I kind of had the feeling like I remember you coming through back in the day into, I think it was like a Forge of Champions qualifier, was it EBYJ Brotherhood, something like that?
IB Brotherhood.
Yeah, and then I remember you. It seemed like every other split, you were kind of back in the UK, like maybe go in the Nordic League or Danish League, and then come back to UK again. Back when it was obviously segregated. What was the reason behind that? Did you have connections in the UK? Was it just people you were friends with, or how did you end up playing the UK so much?
So like actually, before I played on like the IB Brotherhood team, I had played like 2 splits or something of like a bunch of different stuff. So I started in like the second division Danish league, the one that didn't even have like master qualifying or anything. It was just like that was it. So in the second division of that, and then the split after, I was substitute for Ventus, the team that made it to masters like quarters, I think, or I think it was quarters, and I think they lost to Fnatic that year. But I think I played like 6-7 matches in the Danish league because Pinoy didn't want to play or something. So yeah, like that's what I did. And then after that, me and one of the people that went to the school, Kiba, playing for Astralis now, right? We both went here and we're like, okay, we're gonna make a team or whatever. We're gonna figure out what we're gonna do. We can maybe qualify to second division Danish league or whatever. We ended up doing that, but then the team kind of disbanded. But during that like time, a guy called Vixen was on the team, our mid laner, and it was we just realized that there was a UK qualifier, and so me, Batu, or Kiba, and Vixen, we decided to make a team for the UK, the Forge of Champions
Yeah.
to try and make it in there. And then it was obviously we got 2 other UK people, Jason, and Lena. And yeah, I guess we just qualified. Like it did. I remember it not being that hard, and I was kind of surprised that I felt like Danish league was at a higher level, at least from the qualifier.
It's funny you say that because actually I know it's like this is like really niche. I don't know how many people even watch this game, but I remember one of those qualifiers. Your team played against an Azir that swapped to top, and I went back and found the game the other day. Yeah, exactly. You don't even remember it. I remember you played against an Azir.
Which team did we play against?
I don't remember the name of the team, but I remember they were
like I feel like it was like
Envision or somebody like that.
No. It might be Envision. It could also been the Bulldogs or whatever they were called.
Maybe.
BVG
but
or something.
they roll swapped an Azir top, and then your team, that Azir had 10 CS in like 7 minutes or something.
No, I remember that. Like Lena killed him like level 1 or something.
Yeah.
And then we just didn't let him breathe. And
then the second time he died, he had like 3 CS by then. That was
so sad. I remember.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how many of the audience would have seen that. I think probably I was like one of the dozen or people or so that might remember that.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd check if you still remembered.
No, I do.
One thing you alluded to a second ago was about the college you went to. And this is something I found out from someone a while ago. I think it was when I was doing an old podcast. One of our guests, I think it might have been even Pad, who obviously coached you later on, had mentioned that you went to this like Esports College in Denmark. What was that about? Is that something that's quite common? Because that's like a completely foreign concept to someone in the UK.
Yeah. It's something called Campus Vejle, which is like a normal school. Like you can go there completely, like that's just
like
a normal
subjects
school.
and stuff.
Yeah, normal subjects, everything. It's like a business kind of. Like we have like after like 9th grade, you have like 3 different options. You have like business, the standard one which is like everything, and like the STEM one. So there's just like a normal one, business one. But then with that, you can like go to like the sports college side of it, which is then like every sport, like pretty much every sport, and then they will like help you like plan your school around, like if you have like a tournament or if you have to do something like during normal school hours where you would have classes, so you can kind of get like benefits through that. And they like now 5 years ago or something started like the sports college part of it, or like the esports part of it, and it was like quite successful, at least in League of Legends and CSGO. So like I decided to come here, and it was like really nice. It was a bunch of people from the Danish scene, good players, like between like challenger and like master, and then there was also a bunch of like between like maybe D4, D5, and D1 as well. So it was just like a bunch of people that like playing League. You had like a good rhythm because you had the gaming house you could play from, so everyone was there. There was people to talk to. You could make food together. You could like, there was just a bunch of like good habits you could get together and improve a lot to through talking to each other, watching each other's games. Like it was just really good environment. So yeah, that's kind of the reason why I went, and I think it's like a really like nice thing. It's crazy nice that we have it here in Denmark.
So do they have like proper coaches and stuff? How do they find people willing to coach that? Or is it just more like the players that get together themselves?
When I started, they had one CS trainer, one league, and like one like more mental coach kind of guy. It was like everything outside of the game, meditation. He introduced me to meditation, like the benefits through that, like general like exercising, and we had like a day where we'd go to the, I don't even know what you call it, but like it's like it was just a bunch of different things. We could like do gymnastics and play football and hockey, and like it's indoor. I don't really know what it's called in English, but it's
like,
just
like a gym kind of thing.
Yeah, gym, but yeah. So we do a bunch of different stuff. We had that every week, I think. And then one of the coaches was called Valentin, the league coach. That like we had like some trainings each week, or like after school, some days each week. Usually it was just like talking a bit, looking at like some pro games that were being played, or
Mm-hmm.
some new concepts, or the new champion that was being released or reworked, or in houses just playing against each other, having fun. Um, like I will say, like I think it was pretty good, but it wasn't like extremely high level coaching or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the main thing, it didn't really matter, the main thing was the community. That was like
Yeah.
by far the most important thing, because
Plus, like, I guess like you're playing on teams at the same time, right? So you're still getting your
yeah,
like normal coaching as well.
yeah, exactly. Like what kind of what you want to create is an environment where you get all the kind of needs you have through esports, right? So for example, like you cannot really stay at home and play video games all day. Like you will get lonely and like depressed, or like, okay, that's a bit extreme, but the point's the sense. But if you can create an environment where you can be social and have friends,
Yeah.
and at the same time be like grinding league, or you know when you go eat or make food with your friends. Oh, my camera froze. Oh, um like you're talking about league, you're watching games, you're like, it's just so much better, right? Because you're learning all the time. Like there's
Yeah.
no wasted time. Like you can go have fun, do other things, but at the same time, like be kind of improving your gameplay, or uh, just you know uh, thinking about the game, all this, which
Mm-hmm.
can help you out a lot.
Cool.
So I think that's the major reason why this was so successful as it was.
Yeah. That sounds good. And just to clarify for anyone else that was wondering as well, because I asked this off stream, that's where you are now. That
Yeah.
background, yeah, because just for those obviously that weren't in our conversation, yeah, you said it was like a
Yeah.
renovated, like old factory. Because I was not, I'm sure the only one that saw you like do an interview on the NLC, and I was thinking he was in like some Soviet bloody gulag or something like that. I had no idea
Yeah.
where you were. But
Uh,
yeah, that's cool. What is, in your opinion, then? This is, well, I thought this would kind of be related, because when I heard that Denmark had this kind of thing, I kind of presumed like, oh well, they must have had that for ages. Then that's why Denmark produces so many, good esports players compared to somewhere like the UK. You're obviously telling me there that it's relatively new. Why do you think then, just in general, even before this, that there's always such ridiculous amount of talent coming out of Denmark?
um, I I honestly, like, it's hard to know, because you aren't really in every culture, and you
Mm.
aren't really like, how can I know why we have so many and you have like in comparatively so
Yeah.
few, right? But I think there's a lot of reason, and one is we just have a lot of money. Like Denmark is a very, like, one of the richest countries in the world per capita.
Mm-hmm.
So like having access to a PC from a young age was really normal, and it still is extremely normal. Having access to the internet, just in general, there's no like hurdle with that. Everyone has that. And secondly, which mm, I'm not sure if this is related, like this is just my guess, is free education, right? So when I went to school, I got paid, so I didn't have to do anything other than school and play.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you, I paid my rent through the money I got from the government by going to school, and I paid all the food I ate. You know,
Wow.
so I I could do what I wanted with my free time. If this
Mm-hmm.
was in theory, if this was in the UK, I would have to like, I moved out. I moved away from home, so I would have to pay rent. So I would have to get a job, and if I have to get a job, I wouldn't be able to spend as much time playing League. I wouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
like. So I think that's in general just the big thing. Like a lot of young people don't need a job, and if you're like video games a lot, I guess you can just spend a lot more time doing that while having access to it from an early age. I think those are like the two main things.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of snowballs. We had Astralis and CSGO, and they were so popular that a lot of people like played or started playing or thought about it as more legitimate because they were
Yeah.
winning. They were doing, like, they were talking about how they were doing normal exercise routines. They were eating healthy, all this, and then that just snowballs to even more people. That, okay, it's completely normal. It's fine. You can still do this. You can still do this, and then
Mm-hmm.
even more people play CS:GO. Maybe even play League of Legends, and yeah, it kind of just snowballs into I don't know, complete talent generating machine, I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, you wonder if that could even have an effect on like these new things of doing these colleges and stuff. If they see that it can be like a healthy lifestyle and everything as well. So that's interesting. Kind of bringing it to this current split then. We've been going for almost 50 minutes, not even mentioned really the what's actually going on now. So obviously now you're with Dusty in the NLC. I guess it's fair to say it's kind of it's not going badly, it's not going like ideally so far. I was looking actually at the games you've won versus the games you've lost, and it is literally like you've beaten everyone that's below you, apart from X7, but I guess that kind of doesn't count.
Yeah.
And then the teams that you've lost to are all the ones above you. So where do you think you guys lie? Do you think that's sort of where you should be, or do you feel like you may be underperforming a bit?
I think I've underperformed quite a bit, honestly, in some of our games. But also, I think as a team, it's like we lost some games maybe we shouldn't have lost. Like what comes to mind is the Riddle game and the Bifrost game. We were like super far ahead, and we could have easily. I think we could have easily won those games. Or like not, but like if we played better, right? So I think we deserve to be in the middle of the pack. We made some stupid mistakes in the games we lost, and that's why we lost those games. And I think we learned from them. So hopefully that doesn't happen next time. But we only have so much time. Yeah, but in terms of like where I see ourselves, like I think it makes sense. Like some of the teams above us, like for example JDXL, they played together last split. Most of them, their top side and their bot lane. So I feel like just naturally they should have more synergy. They should be more comfortable playing together. They have a better idea of how they play the game than we might have right now. And for example, as I said, the Riddle game, I don't think that was a particularly poor performance. The same with the Bifrost one. And the X7 one, I think, was a lot to do with draft and stuff on the new patch. So for sure, we've not been playing that well. I think we deserve to be kind of in the middle at the moment, but I think we'll scale well into the season. I think we'll pick up a lot more wins. I think we'll for sure be playoffs. Like we already beat 4 out of 9, so that would at the lowest place us in 6th position. So
yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
And where do you rate yourself and Stend as a bot lane? Because this kind of going back to a previous interview I did. I spoke to FGG and asked him kind of where he saw him and Venza, and he said obviously you got like Attila could sing, that everyone would be like an obvious strong one, but then aside from that he picks out Nariki's bot lane as maybe like the next best. But obviously there's yourselves, basically like all of the playoff teams have got actually really quite solid bot lane. So where do you see you guys at the moment?
I don't
where do you
really
think
know.
you could be even as well?
Like we have a lot. Like I think we have had some poor games. And that doesn't tell the whole story. We have a lot of scrim games and stuff where I feel like we've been playing quite well. So it's hard. It's kind of hard to tell because I think we're quite good. We just need to there's a lot of scenarios we aren't comfortable with yet that we're messing up and not playing properly. So that's why I don't think we're like at the best bot lane or anything in NLC right now. But I really think we can be. I think we've talked a lot about how we play certain situations, what we should do different, and looked at our own gameplay a lot together and stuff about reviewing. In terms of like a ranking, I kind of don't want to give it because it just feels stupid, like a bit. But I would say Venza, FGG are for sure. They're playing well with their team. I think I don't necessarily think individually like 2v2 laning they're like something crazy I've never played against. But like in terms of how they set up ganks, I died 3 times when we played the other day.
Bit of a camp, that one.
Yeah, that was really well played by them. But let's see who other than them have impressed me. I think Crispa and Kiba has played quite well as well. I think obviously Kasing, Attila, they at least when we played them, they had a pretty decent game. They were very flexible. They had very new ideas on the meta, at least at the time when the new patch hit. So those guys impressed me as well for sure. I think those 3 are what I'm thinking of the 3 bot lanes that impressed me the most when playing against them. Putting us 4th maybe. I don't know.
Cool.
At the moment.
Fair enough. Room to improve then, something to strive for.
Yeah.
One thing I kind of wanted to ask as well, just on like your own personal development, because I feel like you are like generally seen as one of the best ADCs in the region. And I don't remember who exactly it was that I'd asked this before, but I remember on like a previous podcast I did, it may have been Pad or someone else, but I'd asked them to pick out who they saw in the NLC that they thought was someone that they could realistically see making the step up to ADC. And I remember you being singled out as that person. What do you think maybe you still need to do to make that push? Because I feel like you're kind of always seen as basically one of the highest potential players in the region. Or is there something you're doing now to try and make that push?
Can I ask, when was this season or like last split?
I think it would have been about a year ago, I think.
Yeah, so this was before on Trick, right? And I think I had a really good season that split. And then obviously I went on Mad Lions, which Pat was a coach there, or like assistant coach for the main team, and he was there with the academy team for a while as well. So I got to talk to him. I think he's really smart, and yeah, I think I learned a lot from him, at least from the short while he was there. I think the thing is, I don't think individual skill matters that much anymore, and I think I'm playing quite decently. I had a really poor game here, the last one, but it's like it doesn't really matter how good you are because other people are right there with you. Like if I'm up here and the other bot lane is here, or other way around, it doesn't really matter. Like that's not gonna determine the outcome of the game because the general level of gameplay I think is just pretty high right now. Like just the understanding of the game. Obviously, there's people that understand it at a greater level, LEC and so on and so forth. But like, if you just pick two players, it isn't that big of a difference. The main difference is in like teamwork and understanding of like the whole game, so you can coordinate as a team and do the important plays that actually wins you the game. Dragon fights, maybe turret dives, or like defensive plays against the Herald or something like this, where you can really show you're a good player. You don't really need to do the crazy Vayne kite mechanics to win a game anymore. Like that doesn't happen. Like you win them at Soul, you win them at the setup for the Dragon. If you have a good setup for the Dragon, it's easy to play the fight, and anyone could play that fight. So you don't really have to show any insane individual mechanic. In terms of that, I think I still think I'm quite good player. I have a lot to work on still. I think that's what the split on Mad Lions taught me, that I'm not there yet. I need to work on a bunch of different factors, and I did that in the off season, and I feel like I'm still doing it now. So, like, I'm honored that maybe a year ago I was one of the up and coming guys, but like that doesn't mean I still have to change, and improve. And I think as of right now, like we're not performing that well, and I have to be part of the reason why we're winning. And right now, I don't think necessarily I am that much, but I believe I can be again. And yeah,
Cool.
I don't know. I kind of went everywhere with that question. I don't know if there's
No,
like
fine.
if there's something I need to sum up or.
No, that's all right. It was a bit of a tricky
Yeah.
one. Maybe just to end off then, looking ahead to next week, kind of the bigger game, I guess, is one against Astralis. Like we mentioned earlier about how you're kind of beating the teams just below you, losing to the teams just above. And Astralis, I feel like is one that's like almost on your guys' level right now, maybe a little bit higher. Do you see that as quite a big game then to maybe even just make a statement and show like, beat one of these teams that is higher up and show that this is where we belong?
For sure. Like my camera keeps freezing. Anyway, for sure, Astralis is a big game because it determines if we end the first part of or half of the split positive or negative. And like the one game doesn't really mean that much, but like for example, having a 5-4, if you repeat that, you're 10-4 and you're pretty much, or 10-8 and you're playoffs. If you're 8-10, that's a bit more risky, right? To make playoffs. I feel like they're for sure they've played well, and I'm obviously good friends with Kiba. He went to the same school as I did. We've been friends for a long time. it would be like a good show, or like start to the like a good streak to beat them and take them down. I think I think they're a strong team, and I wouldn't be surprised if they come out swinging and actually have a good game against us. So I don't think it's like we're gonna beat them for sure or anything. I really think it comes down to who shows up on the day and if we're ready, to play.
Mhm.
At the same time, like, it's really what I'm focusing on, because I really want to have a strong performance after my quite lackluster last week, both against Riddle, which actually, yeah, both games last week were kind of disappointing to me. So I think I'm gonna be showing my absolute best, and I do believe that should be enough to take them down.
Mm-hmm. Especially against your old teammate Keeper as well. You want bragging rights, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, I think that will do it for this one then. So yeah, thanks very much for the interview, DenVoksne, and best of luck next week, and best of luck with the rest of the split.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers.